it could break the upper mantle or crust of the Earth and cause it to split and fall in. And that's what they did with Lemuria. They actually used that as a weapon to destroy that continent and make it sink into what now is called the Pacific Ocean. The only remnants of Lemuria that exist above the water, the largest piece is what is now Australia and New Zealand, but also Hawaii, Japan, Taiwan, the Philippines, all of the South Pacific Islands, as well as California west of the San Andreas Fault Line. The San Andreas Fault Line is a continental split or section between two continental plates. Theoretically, it shouldn't be mostly in the ocean. They should be all together. And so what's left of the western part of California is actually the edge or coastline of what was Lemuria. Now, what I didn't tell you also is planetary geology, which is a long story, but I'll make it very short, and that is all planets that are formed through the ejection of molten material from a star, like our planet was from the sun, are hollow. And the reason they are hollow is because as this molten material is thrown from the sun and starts spinning in space, it starts to cool, and because it's cooling and spinning, it forms into a globular shape, and the outside starts to harden. But as above, so below. Inside, the molten material is also spinning, and as it spins, centrifugal force forces it to the sides. And as it's forced to the sides, it gets pushed out of openings that appear at what would be the poles. And so then the inside becomes cool as the molten material exits, and then the inside layer starts to harden and cool. So what in effect you have is you have a globe with two openings. The inside portion, or the very center, has what's left of the molten material through gravitational forces suspended in the center of the globe. And in between the outer and inner crusts is the molten material that is trapped between the two hardened layers. And on both sides, plates form or cracks form as they shift. And that's when you have fault lines and even volcanoes form that push out the molten material. And in fact, planetary science has shown that at the 19th parallel of all such planets are volcanic activity. On the Earth, it shows on the Hawaiian Islands, the west coast of South America, southeastern Asia, and even across to Africa. On Mars, the largest volcano in this solar system, the Mons volcano, is located at the 19th parallel. And on Jupiter, the red spot on Jupiter is located at the 19th parallel. This is planetary science of any kind of structure that is thrown from its sun. That's why the Earth actually is hollow. And that's why this is called the inner Earth, and this is the surface. And that's why in the Bible it talks about creatures on the earth and in the earth. That's what it's talking about. Now, in between the outer and inner crusts or surface areas, there are fractures that have existed, or cave or tunnel systems that have formed naturally and some not so naturally, that connect the two sides together. The opening at the North Pole is about 1,300 miles wide, and the opening at the South Pole is 950 miles wide, except this is covered in ice and snow. This one is wide open. And in fact, Admiral Byrd, when he went to the North Pole back in the 1920s, as he approached the North Pole, actually saw open waters, tropical flowers and plants floating in that water, and what you would consider tropical or prehistoric animals like mammoths still at the very edge of this opening. And that is why aircraft are not allowed to fly directly over the North Pole. It has nothing to do with magnetic disturbances. It has to do with they don't want you to see what's there. Plus, the aurora borealis is nothing more than this molten material suspended in the center radiating out and causing the effect of the aurora borealis under certain conditions. It has nothing to do with radiations from the sun. All of that is false science. And very soon they'll be giving you this information. Just like I told you 2 and 3 years ago when I was here, that in 2000, 2001, 2002, they're going to start giving you information based on not only the Earth, but their actual secret government. And what's happened in the last 6 months? They told you there are underground bases. They told you there's a shadow government. They told you yesterday they knew there was going to be an attack. They're telling you everything because they want you to know now. They want you to know so that it will induce fear in you, and you will pay attention and do whatever they say. When someone holds all the cards and they're going to win, you want to be on their good side. That's the idea behind it. But I'll get to that in a moment. So this is planetary structure. When Lemuria sank into the ocean, or actually sank into the upper surface or upper crust of this area, many of the survivors or refugees of that continent went into the inner earth where they exist to this very day. And that began the ancient rumors of hell and fire underneath the earth and demonic creatures that live under the earth. That's where those ancient myths and rumors got started, is when the reptilians had to go inside the earth in order to survive. Now, the reptilians are very patient creatures, and they have an air or feeling of superiority about them as it pertains to humans or mammalians, and there's reasons why. Reptilians, as I mentioned to you, are androgynous. They have male and female in the same body. When you go outside of physical reality, you know that there is no gender. It's just energy, not male or female, just energy. So in their mindset, they feel that they incorporate this God-mind-like understanding already in physical reality, making them superior to mammalian creatures who have to split into male and female. To them, that's more separation. That's one reason. Second thing is, and you can notice this on the Earth right now, reptilian DNA does not change or alter very much over millions of years. It stays pretty much constant, whereas mammalian genetics must adapt and change and evolve constantly in order to survive, and most times doesn't. So to the reptilian mindset, that makes mammalians inferior because they need to adapt and change all of the time, whereas if you are perfect, you don't have to change anymore. So in their mindset, they feel superior over mammalians. Now, does it make it right or wrong? I'm just explaining to you how they think. And because of that, they can take a lot of time to accomplish what they feel they need to accomplish. Time is meaningless to them because they know they are unchanging and their agenda will always be current. Whereas human civilizations will rise and fall and disappear, theirs will remain constant. So they're very patient with what they have to do, and that is why their agenda for this planet, and particularly this country, has its end date as 2003, and they started that thousands of years ago. Now is the time for it to come to a completion. And so, the Atlanteans, despite what you may have read in Sedona Journal and all the other New Age information you probably read, the Atlanteans were not very nice people either. The Atlanteans performed horrible genetic experimentations. They mixed human genetics with dolphin genetics and created what you have learned to be known as merfolk or mermaid and mermen. There are 3 pockets of those beings that still exist on the Earth. One of them is off the coast of the outer islands of South Carolina. The other pocket is in the Bay of Fundy in Nova Scotia. And the third is off the New Hebrides Islands in Scotland. And to this very day, in all 3 locations, sightings of these type of creatures still exist. They also created what you know as Bigfoot or Sasquatch by mixing their genetics with human genetics. Those still exist also in some pockets on the Earth. And they also created an ancient mythological creature that evoked fear even to this very day, and that is the werewolf. And they simply did that by mixing wolf genetics with human, and that actually led to the story of the creation of Rome and the Roman Empire, who claimed that their descendants were twins born of a wolf mother.